Well, hello there. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Here we are. This is the 5th edition of Earth Online, Tales from the Universe Next Door. Hiya. Sorry about the little delay there, but here we are. We've got a great show set up for you today. It's going to be amazing. And do stay tuned with us for the next couple of hours. Some excellent stuff happening, excellent chat, great subjects we're going to cover. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce the wonderful Sazrah.
Hello.
Hiya, Sazrah.
Hi.
What a wonderful sight to see.
Oh, thank you.
The lovely Sazrah there. Sazrah is one of our great hosts for the evening, and she will be hosting a special section in the future, and it's called Black Lives. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Sazrah?
Yeah, definitely. It's just a really positive thing, celebrating Black culture, Black music, anything that's going on. When you suggested the idea to me, I thought, wow, that's really positive, and I'm really excited to do it. Yeah. And that will be in the future Earth Online. And yeah, I'll be bringing some beautiful stories from beautiful people.
Fantastic. And we have an apology to make, Sazrah, because on the last show, we were playing your song and it didn't quite happen, did it? So
you got a snippet. You got like a teaser.
We had a snippet, but as a special treat, we thought, let's hear that again. It's such a great song. And it's called, what's it called?
Some Kind of Way.
Some Kind of Way. That's yes. Right. Shall we hear it?
Yes, of course. I shall bring it up now.
Yeah, I know you want a baddie tonight, and you know I need a daddy tonight. So that moment when I look in your eyes, I feel some kind of way, ay. I feel some kind of way, ay. Yeah, you know I'm looking bougie tonight, so get dressed up just to do me tonight. Cause that moment when I look in your eyes, ay, I feel some kind of way. Some kind of way, ay, give me some kind of way, ay, 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 give me some kind of way, ay, 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 give me some kind of way, ay, 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 give me some kind of way, ay, ay, take a lick with a zaddy like you, baby. When you look to the left and you look to the right, and you're airing a text to be by my side, yeah. Are you some kind of wrong? Are you some kind of right? Baby, I don't care, long as we up all night. And I know you want a baddie tonight. I feel some kind of way. I feel some kind of way. Give me some kind of way. Give me some kind of way. Give me some kind of way, give me some kind of way, take a look with a zaddy like you, baby.
We've been together for many years, everybody knows your girlfriends and my peers say sometimes you act so pretentious, as if no doors, but your man be conscious. So even when people do libby, I know the watch, all I want is my lovey-dovey. Sick of you shadow shopping for Nairobi to impress my empress, the Ganyo B. Check it, don't go far, just come my body, cause tonight's me and you, it could be giddy. You body, I beg, make you go GB. Make we pop champagne and dance to Busybody. You don't make how they feel some kind of way, how they feel très bien. Today be today. Like say I smoke blunts, but the babe I never that. I just happy cause me then you go play.
Kind of way, give me some kind of way, give me some kind of way, give me some kind of way, take a lick with a zaddy like you, baby.
Next to rest, I did like you, lady.
Yeah. to a baddie like me, baby. Hey, 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 hey. Sazrah on the beat, yeah.
Hello.
Some kind of beat, Sazrah. Great stuff.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I produced that track. I actually produced it and wrote it thinking of a man in mind. So I had to change a few of the words when I took it, because a lot of people from labels and things were saying like they liked it, but whenever they gave it to someone else, they just thought it worked with my voice. And obviously I put my production before my singing. So yeah, it was very surprising to me, but I've really enjoyed being pushed out of my comfort zone and releasing that one.
Excellent stuff, Sazrah. And you work quite a lot in the studio, and you work with a lot of musicians, especially Black and Asian musicians. So how is that all going?
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I work with a lot of musicians from Ghana. My mum's from Ghana. Yeah, and I just absolutely love celebrating different cultures and merging everything that we've learned and experienced and putting it all together. And thank you for the lovely comments. Thank you, Daniel.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Well, thanks, Sazrah. I hope you're going to stay in the show. We get you up
100%, definitely.
But now I think we're going to go over to Sandy Yidaki, who is going to give us a few little ditch treats. Are you there, Sandy?
Yeah. How's it going?
Lovely. What a lovely kitchen you've got there.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've drawn a curtain around here, but I haven't got one. And,
that's fine. It's all very, very natural. Very natural.
Yeah, lockdown background.
So, Sandy, how many years have you been playing the Yidaki, or the didgeridoo, as common people like to call it?
I knew you were going to ask that. And so I just did a little calculation, and it's coming up for 29 years now. Fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Do you want to give us a little treat there as to what's happening and what you can do with it?
Yep. I'm going to lay down a click track first. How am I going to do that? Just with the mechanics. Here we go. I'm going to do it with my mouth.
Fantastic.
There's a little intermediate speed one. People kind of know me for the fast stuff, really.
How do you manage that? Do you want to do us another one?
Sure, yeah. Just quick shout out to Sam and Olive. Hello, thanks for joining me. And John, if you're there. And anybody else who knows me, and my mum and my dad. Even though my mum's sort of up there these days. Anyway, yep, next one. There you go. Don't know if you can still hear me. I can just see myself on the screen. Oh, there you are.
Ah, yes, I'm back. Yes, great. So you do courses and classes and stuff, don't you?
Yep. Haven't done any for a little while yet, especially because of what's going on. Well, almost entirely because of that. Otherwise, I'd be a bit more proactive. But I've been in my bedroom studio composing stuff when I'm not decomposing.
Okay, we wouldn't like to see you decomposing quite yet.
No, not yet.
All right. Well, time's getting on now, and thank you very much, Sandy, for your appearance here on this.
You're
it's
welcome.
your first time on Earth Online.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm honoured.
Great to see you. We're going to have to move on now. I think I'm going to bring in Pedro, the wonderful Pedro. He's in Lisbon at the minute. Pedro, are you there?
Hello, Sam. How are you doing?
Hi, Pedro. What's it like in Lisbon? Is it nice and warm and sunny?
Well, I wish I could say it was, but it's been raining all day today. So I've been firmly indoors the whole day watching TV.
Oh,
How's it going in the UK?
Oh, it's fantastic here. Yeah, wonderful. We're all looking forward to the end of this lockdown nightmare. I'm sure you are there.
I know, yeah. Hopefully a few more months to go, then we can start watching some live music once again.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Get out and sharing ourselves around a bit and
absolutely
seeing reality.
But in the meantime, you've got Earth Online to give everyone company around the world. So that's fantastic.
Certainly are. Certainly so. Okay, Pedro. So your spot on the show, you're looking at new music, and you're a very good spotter of new music. What have you got in store for us tonight?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so this is the regular slot called On the Pulse, where I expose some new music. And this evening we have an artist hailing from the US, from Minnesota. I introduce to you, Sam, and the world, Jack Nadeau. So Jack Nadeau, come onto the stage. Jack, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How is everyone tonight?
Yeah, we're good. We're very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us on Earth Online. How's your weekend been so far?
Oh, it's still midday over here in the States, so not too bad so far. It's just it's another day trying to make stuff happen.
Fantastic. And of course, you are, when I say new artist, you're actually a very, very new artist, aren't you?
Yes.
You've been around for 10 months.
I've been involved in music only about 10 months, so I'm still trying to find my bearings around everything here still. But
wow. Tell us a bit about yourself before you play your first song. So you're from Minnesota, and how did you get into music? Because you were a radio broadcaster before, weren't you?
Yes. So I was working in radio broadcasting up until COVID as a sports announcer here in the States. And then I lost my work back in March, obviously, when the pandemic started. And then I kind of had a feeling that wouldn't be an option for me anytime soon. So I'd owned a guitar for a while, and I'd kind of done some singing just in my free time casually. But I decided I would just kind of jump into trying to perform music. So I took to Twitch first back in April. And then I've just been doing that for the past 10 plus months here. So I'm looking forward to when hopefully the world reopens. And, I've never done a live gig. I would love to get to that before, but so
it's just like, you've just been honing your craft doing live streams. That's incredible from home.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, Jack, well, we'll let you play your first song. What's the first song going to be called this evening?
Absolutely. So I'm gonna open with an original. I only have 3 originals to my name. Like I said, I'm still so new to this whole music thing. But this first song is called Epilogue, and I wrote this one kind of thinking about how do you when you lose someone either through death or a relationship, how do you kind of honor that person's memory and carry on with the thought of that person. So this is a song called Epilogue.
Fantastic.
I might cling to a memory, fist might cold to grip. Many days may pass us by, but the pain keeps a grasp on the whip.
How am I supposed to be stronger? And how can one pretend to wear a smile hour by hour with the thought of you still in my head? So goodbye to the dreamer, one who'll never see the end. When the sun turns over, oh, the darkness impossible to prevent, but at the end of the day, oh, I'll still see a light to the ghost of you. What I would do for 24 hours to finish a chapter or two, the maker has come to end the line, but I'll grab the pen and I'll see the story through. And how can I stay stronger? How many days will I spend tossing and turning and holding back tears with the thought of you still in my head? So goodbye to the dreamer, one who never sees the end. When the sun turns over, oh, the darkness impossible to prevent, but at the end of the day, oh, I'll still raise a light to the ghost of you. Pictures of all the erase my deepest fears. Oh, that time won't ever let you go. Oh, and when I'm cold, I'm sure you'll be standing there. So goodbye to the dreamer, one who never sees the end. When the sun turns over, oh, the darkness impossible to prevent, but at the end of the day, oh, I'll still raise a light to the ghost of you.
Oh my word, Jack, that was incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've only been doing this for 10 months.
Yeah. So I started my first few months, just trying to find my bearings and, learn how to play more notes on the guitar and stuff. And then, as the months have gone on, we've dived into the scary world of songwriting. So
yeah, you seem so confident, like you've done it for years. It's incredible. Anyone know it's just been 10 months?
It's definitely been a learning experience. I mean, I still don't know exactly what I'm doing. Like I've never studied music theory, or when I first started writing music, I didn't know how to structure a song. So we kind of just jumped into it and
wow.
hope for the
Anyone
best.
has been teaching you, or any influences, any musicians that your heroes you've been getting all your inspiration from?
I listen. Pretty much every day, all day. I'm just soaking in as much music as I can, whether it's live music, on Twitch or YouTube and such. And then, I've kind of gravitated to a certain kind kind of songwriting style within certain artists. I like the singer songwriter, like folk style of music a lot. So like Jason Isbell, Ray LaMontagne, guys like that. I love listening to and picking up from.
Fantastic. So that was your first song out of 3. So tell us about your second song you're going to play for us this evening.
So the next song is actually the first song I ever wrote, which was back in July. And so this was, again, very, very early on in my musical journey. But this was actually a song I wrote about mental health, which I think, in this last crazy year, I feel like is especially important for us to kind of all keep in mind. So this song is called Somebody Loves You.
Okay, take it away.
When there's no knocking at your door, no worth living anymore, staring blankly out the window, the weight is too heavy on your soul. Just remember these words. Just listen to what I say. There's a shoulder to cry on out there, a voice for the darkness when you're scared. Make no mistake, it's okay tonight, be okay. Just remember somewhere somebody loves you. When the pain cuts too deep, no path left in front of your feet, dreams are lonely inside, but your eyes just can't hide. Just remember these words. Just listen to what I say. There's a shoulder to cry on out there somewhere, a voice for the darkness when you're scared. Make no mistake, it's okay to not be okay. And just remember somewhere somebody loves you. Just remember these words. Just listen to what I'll say. If there's a shoulder to cry on out there somewhere, a voice for the darkness and you're scared. Make no mistake, it's okay tonight, be okay. Just remember somewhere, and that somebody loves you.
Wow, thank you, Jack. That is awesome stuff. Such a pertinent song for where we're going through at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, beautiful stuff. And you got lots of fantastic comments as well from lots of viewers around the world. So thank you, Jack. And I want to talk to you a bit about you do a lot of streams on Twitch.
Mhm.
And you're doing quite regularly, and you also have a feature where you stream another artist as well to give them some more exposure. Tell us more about your regular Twitch streams.
Oh, sure. So I've taken to streaming on Twitch 3 times a week, and I mostly just do requests, live requests of covers and originals. But then the little piece that you were just mentioning there. So I've been so warmly welcomed into the music industry, at least virtually. Connecting with both other musicians all over the world and just music lovers from from all over. And obviously, I'm sitting here with all of you, which I never would have been able to dream of doing a year ago. But so because I was, so new to everything and people were so kind to me and guiding me and supporting me, I just wanted to pay all that kindness forward. So, I'm not the next Elton John or anything, but, I've been around Twitch now for about 10 months. And so I want to use that space not only to further what I'm doing, but so I do a segment pretty regularly where I feature new or smaller streamers to the Twitch platform on my channel as well, to kind of showcase and spotlight what they're doing, because there's so much talent out there that I've just been absolutely floored by. And I just want to do whatever I can to continue paying that forward for all the time that's been shown to me.
Yes. Spread more music around the world.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thing to do.
Absolutely.
And also, you did a huge event for charity, for mental health charity on Twitch. So, can you tell us a bit more about that as well? You raised quite a lot of money as well.
Yeah. So we there was a few friends and I decided that we wanted to just put on a charity function over the holidays this past year. And with a big focus on mental health. So we picked an organization that works internationally in like 130 different countries to provide mental health support and access and services to people. And what started out as just like a small little idea, we ended up getting 28 really amazing, passionate musicians, and we raised over $50,000 in 3 days. I guess I don't know what that is in with the exchange rates, but
a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. So that was amazing to see, and it kind of inspired me to wanting to continue to do that work, just to keep paying it forward with whatever I'm doing with music.
Yeah, sounds like it's a cause you're quite passionate about, with the kind of mental health and helping other people. So,
absolutely.
Great to hear your music and about what you're doing. We've got your at the bottom going along there on YouTube. Just search for Jack Nadeau music. Those who are watching, I'm sure you can find out some more. And Jack's going to write some more songs, I'm sure. So your last song, Jack, tell us about the last one you're going to play for us.
So the last song is my most recent original, and this one I feel like, at least personally, I feel like it kind of demonstrates my progression as a musician over these past 10 months. So this is one I finished up within the past few weeks, actually. So this song is called No One Else, and this is just talking about wanting to be an inspiration, to be a support for a friend or whatever it is, family. Again, I seem to have a focus on, just trying to be there for each other, especially this past year. But so this is my most recent original called No One Else.
Take it away.
May have the time with a dozen equal answers. Oh, guide your heart with a chain, searching for the words. Oh, break the seal the key to release all your pain. There's no one else I believe in, and I've traveled all over the world, and the light that I see inside you is reason enough just to hope. So I'm not giving up on you. Don't give up on me. Maybe someday you'll see. You one way or another, we're all a bit broken, like the wish I lament to the stars. Just how I want to take on your hurt. Oh, I want to see and understand. Oh, your scars. Oh, there's no one else I believe in, and I've traveled all over the globe. While the light that I see inside you, reason enough just to oh, I'm not giving up on you. Don't give up on me. Maybe someday you'll see. Oh, and I've shown my hand. The cards are on the table. Oh, the call is yours to decide. Oh, are my thoughts wearing you down, becoming a burden? Or a bridge that'll keep you alive. Oh, and this is a thoughtful daydream. Oh, terror that turns away sleep, while the knife might cut through the surface. Oh, and I long to feel something more deep. Oh, there's no one else I believe in, and I've traveled all over the globe, while the light I see inside you is reason enough to I'm not giving up on you. Don't give up on me. Maybe someday you see.
Oh wow!
wow.
Jack. Thank you very much. Very good song. Very encouraging. It's what we need to hear right now. That there's other things that we can look out for others, and others can look out for us. Thank you once again, Jack Nadeau, for coming on to Earth Online. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. We loved hearing your music as well. 10 months worth. Sounds like 10 years to me. So really good work, Jack. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
And if people want to find out more about you, or where is the best place, YouTube, or are there any other means they can find out more about you?
I'm just branching out on YouTube as Jack Nadeau Music. That's probably the best place to find me.
Fantastic. So Jack, we wish you a rest of good evening. Do stay on. We're going to have a discussion after 7 with Tom Gray about the Broken Record campaign.
Absolutely.
Great to see you there. Cool.
Absolutely.
All right, Jack. See you later.
Thank you again.
Okay, I'm going to introduce Sam now. So hopefully our wonderful station manager will be coming back on. And we're going to introduce our next speaker, who I believe is going to be Carol Turner from CND. Sam, how amazing was that?
Oh, well, that was brilliant. It's such a short time to turn into a music artist. I think he could be the next Elton John, personally.
Why not? Yeah, you were saying, I'm no Elton John. I was thinking, yes, you are, mate.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. So, and that's good. And he, unfortunately, we couldn't get the artist that was going to come in, Ella.
Yes.
Tonsillitis. So that's very good of Jack to come in at the last minute there. So thanks again, Jack. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fantastic new music at the moment. And I hope you don't mind me mentioning that we play new music on my radio show, Esperanza, every Wednesday on Green Futures Festival Radio.
Yeah.
So
everyone should listen. It's a fantastic show.
There we go, every Wednesday. So Sam, I'll hand over to you now. You're gonna introduce our next speaker, I believe.
Yes. I'm very honoured to be able to introduce the next speaker. Her name is Carol Turner. She's the Vice Chair of the National CND and also the spokesperson for the London Region CND. And I think it's very important to bring these issues up, because a lot of us don't really think about the serious nature of nuclear weapons. So as I say, I'm very honoured to introduce Carol. Are you there, Carol?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Excellent. Before you ask any questions, can I just add my thanks to Sam as well? It's so lovely to sit here waiting to come online with you and listen to such nice music. It's so relaxing.
Oh, thank you very much, Carol. Thank you. My association with the CND over the years, I've met Bruce Kent, the gentleman, I believe he's 91 now. When I first met him, he was Monsignor Bruce Kent, and I was so inspired by his speeches at that time. And he really made me wonder and think twice about what the world we live in, really, under the shadow of nuclear weapons. So it's so good to have you on the show, Carol. Why do you think it's important to focus on this issue?
Well, all the evidence we have is that world opinion is growing and moving in our directions. Nuclear weapons are useless, they're dangerous, they don't protect us, let's get rid of them. The obvious example of that is COVID. Instead, in Britain, here in the UK, instead of spending every penny the government's got on resolving our health pandemic, we're spending £205 billion on a nuclear weapons system that it would be a crime against humanity to use.
Well, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. What is the world's arsenal at the moment of nuclear weapons?
It's absolutely enormous. There are enough nuclear weapons in the world to destroy humanity and the planet literally hundreds of times over. But there is good news. Let's not concentrate on everything that's dire and bad news. On the 22nd of January this year, something came into force, became ratified in international law, called the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. Now, some of your listeners may know that there are already international treaties which ban landmines, which ban chemical weapons, which ban biological weapons. But up till a month ago, nuclear weapons were the only weapons of mass and indiscriminate destruction that it wasn't illegal to have. And that treaty took about 12 years in the making, coming through all the various stages and procedures in the United Nations. And 120 countries signed up to say, let's get it off the ground a couple of years ago. And it's now been ratified. And that's really, really good news. And I think that shows what I said when we started this conversation, which is that world opinion is moving in our direction.
Okay, so and what's particularly significant about this treaty? I believe it's called TPNW for short, isn't it?
It is.
You said about the countries that have signed up. What about the countries that haven't signed up to it?
That's the snag. The nuclear weapon possessing countries, there are 8 of them, I'll name them if you like. The nuclear weapon possessing countries didn't want to get involved in the discussions about this treaty. And the United States and Britain in particular, when the UN signed off on the text and published it and invited UN states to sign up to it, Britain, the United States and France got together. They gave a press release, a media briefing, which essentially boiled down to them saying, never under any circumstances are we going to sign such a treaty. So all the overwhelming majority of the peoples of the world and the overwhelming majority of the countries in the world think this is a good thing, and lots of them have signed up. Hundreds have signed up already, and 50 have ratified it. That is the process of incorporating it into your own national law. But the nuclear weapons states are saying 2 fingers to it. We're not going to sign. What we're doing about that in Britain is we've started something called the Nuclear Ban Communities Initiative. And we can't get our governments, we CND by ourselves can't get our government to change its mind. It's a real sort of hard line. We want a nuke. We want to be big and tough and powerful and all that boys' toys stuff that goes with it. So we're going through all the countries, all the counties rather, all the towns, all the rural villages across Britain and getting organisations, local councils, celebrities and people whose names are well known in that community to sign up to a pledge to support the nuclear ban treaty. And it's slowly, we started that last year. London launched it at the same time that the treaty was ratified and became international law. And we're going round at the moment, our local councils saying, please, will you sign? And we're getting local councillors, mayors and all sorts of other people, faith leaders, etc., to sign the pledge. So it's a sort of work in progress, a rolling stone, gathering moss, gathering signatures, and hopefully eventually we'll have enough pressure that the government has to take notice.
So anyone can sign, is that right, Carol?
Absolutely, anyone can sign. And if I can give a little plug for the website that I'm responsible for across London, if you go to that website, londoncnd.org, if you go to that website, you'll find a whole page that's devoted to the Nuclear Banned Communities Initiative, and you'll find a toolkit. So there's a draft letter that you can send to your local MP or your local council. There are, if you belong to a community organisation, there's a version that you can send to them and so on. So we're even helping people with the resources to get in touch with local organisations, local councils and so on. And we've got a really well-known leader of the community in London who's heading it up. Now, anyone who's listening in London will have heard the name Emma Dent-Coad. She was an MP, a Labour MP for a while, and she was in the London borough of Kensington and Chelsea. And probably most people have heard of that terrible Grenfell Tower disaster, the fire that killed so many people. It's at the building is at the bottom of her road, and she's very well known because she's associated with that. And we're really, really pleased that she's decided to come on board with us and lend her name to advertising and promoting the community, the initiative that you and I are talking about.
Well, it's so fantastic that there is this initiative, and it's about time that it was put on the table firmly, really. I don't think we hear enough about that, the threat that is in front of us, really. So thanks for that. I'm just going to ask you a question. We're told that nuclear weapons have kept the peace for 70 years or whatever, Hiroshima. But I want to ask you in a different way. I'm going to ask you why nuclear weapons haven't kept the peace over those years.
Well, it's a really good question, and thank you for it, Sam, because the governments and the supporters of nuclear weapons who argue that it's kept the peace, in fact, are putting forward a proposition that you can neither prove nor disprove. It's hypothetical. We know that in a number of conflict situations, starting with Korea in 1950, there was very serious discussion by Britain and the United States and others about using nuclear weapons. We know that there have been lots of accidents, but the real issue, I think, is best put in this way. There are more states now that have nuclear weapons than at the end of the Second World War in 1945, when the United States dropped those 2 nuclear bombs on Japan. Why is that? Because countries feel threatened and unsafe by the fact that the larger international powers possess nuclear weapons and belong to a club, NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which actually has a policy of first use, i.e., it will use nuclear weapons if it feels threatened, if it decides that the circumstances merit it, without being attacked. And that's a very frightening thing. So the possession of nuclear weapons has actually caused proliferation. You've got countries like starting with Russia and China, but then going on to India, Pakistan, Israel even, who has nuclear weapons but doesn't admit even to having them. You encourage, by the possession of nuclear weapons and building bigger and bigger arsenals, you encourage other countries to develop them. We know most people have heard about what's happening in Korea. Most people are aware of what's happening in Iran. There are just 2 examples. There's talk about Saudi Arabia getting nuclear weapons. All of that's going on because a few of the world's most powerful states have got them and won't get rid of them. So the problem is not the threat from smaller countries. The problem is the threat of proliferation. And it takes us right back to that question you asked at the beginning, Sam, which is how many nuclear weapons have we got in the world? And these 8 countries are just building bigger and bigger and bigger arsenals. And it's crazy, absolutely mad.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah. I hope one day that we can challenge this and have a world where actually these governments are beginning to realize that it is totally crazy and mad to possess them, and they do no good whatsoever. So Carol, I really want to thank you, but I'm going to ask you if there's any other positive campaigns that people can get involved with at the moment.
Yes. What I would encourage you to do, if you're in the United Kingdom, in Britain, what I would encourage you to do is support Stop the War Coalition, our anti-war campaign. CND works very closely with Stop the War. Perhaps sign up to some of the solidarity movements that are around in Britain. And if you can hold your nose and confront national politics, then it's worth thinking about joining a political party and putting a bit more influence on the government via Parliament. That's a long and difficult process, but I would urge people to do it if they've got the initiative for that. The other thing you can do is take part in the various local groups that are around. And if you go to that CND website that I mentioned earlier, national CND website, one of the things you'll find is a list of all the hundreds of local groups in the country that you can connect up with. It's definitely very positive. We commissioned rather a public opinion poll to coincide with the ratification of the treaty, the nuclear weapons treaty, and it was amazing. Well beyond what we were actually expecting. Something like 59% of everyone who was sampled, it was a big sample, wanted to get rid of nuclear weapons. And that included 50% of conservative supporters. So even 50% of people who voted for the current government want to get rid of nuclear weapons. That's a really hopeful sign. And if all of your viewers and listeners can think about that and add their bit of weight to it, we will grow and we'll have results. So I want to say thank you all on Earth Online for inviting us.
Thanks, Carol. And I remember the days of the 70s and the 80s with the cruise missile campaign and the Greenham Common Women's camps and what pressure that put on. I mean, there were thousands and thousands of people, and you can't beat the fact that people power can make change. So
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you again, Carol. Thanks for coming on the show tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to everyone who's listened patiently to what we've got to say. Thanks a lot, Sam.
Lovely, and good luck to you.
Goodbye.
Okay, so thanks to Carol there, and that's brilliant. Next coming up on the show is Cerian, and are you there, Cerian?
I am.
Yay!
How's it going, Sam?
Brilliant. Lovely to see you, Cerian, and I believe you've got a wonderful artist to introduce this week.
I do, yes. Are we ready? Okay, so I'm going to be doing a segment on women in the arts, and this week a woman in music, and I'm really thrilled to introduce a fantastic artist. Her name is Jenny Colquitt, and here she is.
Hey.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really, really good, thank you.
So happy that you could join us. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me. Honestly, this is a great platform, for any musician, and yeah, thank you.
So you're a singer-songwriter, a solo artist. You're also in a band as well. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so predominantly a solo artist, but then kind of at the beginning, unfortunately, of the whole lockdown pandemic situation, I decided to form a band, which is obviously the wrong time to do it, but we didn't know that at the time. And the band's called Elysian. And it's kind of like it started off kind of country folk, and then it's developed more into like a rock act now, which is it's interesting for me. Yeah, it's all original music, kind of bluesy. Yeah.
So you how long have you been together then?
So I've met the lads kind of since like July last year. But like I say, it's been in and out depending on the rules and the regulations of being able to, rehearse and kind of get together really. So it's kind of a difficult question that it's
yeah. But I guess that this has given you an opportunity to really pursue your solo artist work, because I know that you've been live streaming a lot as well.
Yeah.
As a solo artist.
Yeah, just like you. We kind of started like at the beginning of the whole lockdown, like last March. I started just on YouTube and Facebook, and then kind of more recently, like January, I've moved over to Twitch, which seems to be the place to be at the minute. That's where I met you. So
yeah, it is. I think we met, in fact, through Linda Conway, who has a radio show called Voice of a Woman, and she showcases women in music. And so she's the first one that told me about you, and then I was thrilled to actually meet you. And I was just blown away by your voice and your music. You have a massive library of original songs, and they're all absolutely incredible. So we're so excited to hear one. Would you be able to do a song for us now?
Yeah. So the first song I'm going to do is called "Tell Me Where the Light Is." I
love this one.
I released this last year in November, and it's part of a 4-track EP called "Dear Daughter." And yeah, it's a song about kind of finding the light in the darkness, which I thought was quite apt for these kinds of streams at the minute in the pandemic. So yeah.
Brilliant. Please take it away.
Yeah, no problem.
The ones we knew who made it out of
Oh my goodness, Jenny, that is so incredibly beautiful and so moving.
Oh, thank you.
That's just, I mean, it takes your breath away. It's just so beautiful.
Thank you
Everyone
so
has
much.
to go and check that out. It is on Spotify and iTunes and all those places. So I'd encourage everyone to please go and follow Jenny or download the music, because I know we're having a discussion about streaming later. So do you have a Bandcamp store as well?
Yes, I've got a Bandcamp store with physical copies of the EP, as well as my previous EP as well.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Everyone must get that EP. It's just wonderful.
Thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about some of your influences? I say this myself thinking, when somebody asks me that, I'm like, what? Where do I start? Where do I start? There's so many.
Yeah.
But can hear quite a few, and I'm intrigued as to what's inspired you as an artist and a writer.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that question's difficult because we don't know what's kind of influenced us, kind of things that we were growing up kind of listening to. But definitely kind of at the forefront of my mind is obviously people like Eva Cassidy, Sandy Denny, Joni Mitchell, and, acts like that. I don't think I'm quite as folky as some of those artists, but I definitely have that kind of influence. But yeah, just any songwriter that can write a good melody, I think is the main thing for me. It's like,
I can definitely hear that in your music. Yeah, those sort of pioneers, those female pioneering singer-songwriters that were writing their own songs and just bearing their soul in a way that's inspired generations since. Especially because our segment's on women in music. So having those role models for me has been really inspiring. It's quite tough navigating the music industry as a solo artist, especially as a female solo artist. So
yeah, and it's kind of getting pigeonholed, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's difficult when people say like, what genre are you? It's like that question is almost more difficult than who your influences are.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
It's really difficult, but I can hear so many wonderful things, but also just your emotions come through your voice, and that's just connects the audience to you, I think.
I think that's the one thing that I like really. To me, if I'm singing and there's no emotion there, kind of, I feel like there's almost no point for me personally. But yeah. So
well,
sometimes it kind of makes me like that as well.
We'd love to hear another song.
Yeah, absolutely. So that song was off the last EP that I released. So I thought I'll sing a song off the first EP, so you can kind of see the transition type thing.
Oh, great. Are you going to do this one on piano as well?
It will be, and then the last one I'll play on the guitar.
Great. I don't know if it's just me, but I could probably have the piano a little quieter just so I can hear your beautiful voice a bit more.
Sure, that's fine. I've just turned that down then. Thank you.
Amazing. Okay, I'll give you the stage. Over to you.
Thank you. Okay, so this one's called Wide Open Spaces. I was born a president of a soft-spoken word, lost in imperfection, and lost in this world. And I was born a Friday child in a land full of greed, and swore to keep a promise, and swore to believe. And nights full of madness, nights full of sin. So why don't we stop all this? What have we done? What are we here for? Why do we cry? Why don't we stop all this? Why do we leave? was born an innocent, and I was born in need, and torn away from silence, and told I was free. But I was just a little scared, and I was frightened to be heard, and I became to fear the world, and now I believe. What have we done? What are we here for? Why do we cry? Why don't we stop all this? Why do we leave wide open spaces in between? Our love, our love, our love. Wide open spaces in our love. You were trying to make it so we can't see, and blind to all the sadness, and blind and deceived. But you were just a jealous soldier, and you were sent to kill anything that came between us, and I know you will. What have we done? What are we here for? Why do we cry? Why don't we stop all this? Why don't we leave wide open spaces in between? Our love, our love, our love. Wide open space.
Ah, that's so beautiful. That's amazing. So people can hear that one as well.
Yes, that's also on all of the above platforms and
All of
like
the
we mentioned,
platforms.
all
Yeah.
of the platforms.
All of the platforms. It's so beautiful. Everybody's absolutely loving your songs and your voice as
Oh,
well.
hey guys. It's nice when you look to the right and you see so many familiar faces and
I
people.
know friendly, familiar faces from this amazing online music community
Yeah.
who absolutely love your music. Now we have a very special song that you're going to finish with, which is your current single, I understand.
Yes.
Could you tell us a bit about that?
Of course. So yeah, this was released last week, I believe. Yeah, last week.
So fresh.
So fresh. It's like a baby. Well, it's a song that I wrote about 8 months ago. It's about Captain Thomas More. So fittingly, kind of was written kind of around the time that he was inspiring the whole nation.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously when he passed away, I mean, I'd planned releasing the song anyway. And then he passed away, and I decided to do a music video to go along with the song. And it's all for the Captain Tom Moore charity. Anything that I get from the single will be going to the charity, including like live streams and things that I've done. But the song is about kind of how he inspired everybody in a time of need, let's say. So yeah, it's a little bit more of an upbeat song compared to anything that I normally write. So yeah.
Should we just explain for anybody who may not be British, because
sorry,
found this out recently that not everybody internationally knows who Captain Tom is. Could you just tell everyone a little bit about him?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, guys. So Captain Tom is essentially, he was a 100-year-old war veteran, and he walked around his garden to raise money for the NHS. And it started that he just wanted to raise £1,000. And then as people kind of clicked onto what was happening, it ended up that he raised just under £33 million. So he did a very good job.
It's
say.
incredible. And the NHS is our public health service, which is free for everyone and has been very much struggling, well, for many years, but especially with the pandemic. So it was his effort to try and support the NHS through walking around his garden, and it's just incredible that he raised over 33 million pounds for that cause, and he did become, like you say, a national hero to bring attention to this cause, bring everyone together.
And the music video that went with that kind of, because I work in the NHS, and I used a lot of my colleagues in the video, and key workers, people who were working in supermarkets, and kind of anybody who has played a massive role in keeping us afloat in this time. So the video is kind of inspired by how he inspired us to just be kind of brave in these times where we just don't know what's happening. So yeah, that's what the song's all about.
Amazing. Let's hear it.
Sure. I need to remember to do this.
Sit here and tell me what you're fighting for. It seems that we are living in a modern war. I'm aging, and I know I fall. Listen to the expert, not the boy next door. It seems that I am suited to this kind of war. I am Captain Thomas More, a century old armored core. I never thought I'd ever feel this kind of pain. The younger generation resting on my name, and I'm walking for their gain. For us all, not for our gain. But don't worry, baby, you will know when you're out. The lesson we will learn for sure. I walk around the garden with my pride beaming out, singing, I am Captain Thomas More. We're separated by fortune of our wealth, but we are all united by our common stealth. We are hurting for our health, and for us all, not for ourselves. But don't worry, baby, you will know when you're out. The lesson we will learn for sure. I walk around the garden with my pride beaming out, singing, I am Captain Thomas More. But don't worry, baby, you will know when you're out. The lesson we will learn for sure. I walk around the garden with my pride beaming out, singing, I am Captain Thomas More.
Oh, that's so good.
Thank you.
Absolutely loved it. It's such an inspiring song, and I've shared the link in the comments on the various platforms for everybody to watch that video.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Everyone should definitely watch it. And speaking of finding you, where would the best place be for everybody to follow your music, find out more about you, hear you?
So yeah, if you just type in my name, Jenny Colquitt, which I'm sure has been about here somewhere. I'm mainly, my main platforms I kind of use are Facebook and YouTube, as well as Twitch as well. But it's the same name on all of them.
And we will just say a quick little bit that that we both stream on Twitch, as does Jack Nadeau, who we had was our first musical guest artist. He streams on Twitch as Young Sub 3. You stream on Twitch as Jenny_Colquitt. I'm Cerian Music, but Twitch is a live streaming platform which is free for people to use, and you're there how many times a week streaming on Twitch?
So at the moment, 2 times a week.
2 times a week.
And 1 time a week on Facebook and YouTube.
Amazing. I would encourage everyone to check out Jenny's live streams, because you get like 2 to 3 hours or more worth of Jenny playing her own music, covers. She's got so many fantastic originals. It's well worth your time to just sit back and enjoy Jenny's beautiful music. And I'll share the link in the comments for everybody to follow you there.
And Cerian as well, in case. Of course, Cerian.
But I'm so grateful for you coming on today, Jenny. I just love your music, your voice, everything you do, and it's been such an honor having you as a guest. Thank you so much.
Well,
and I think
you.
we might be seeing you for a bit of a discussion later.
Yes.
On the streaming industry. So thank you so much, Jenny. And speaking of our next segment, I'm going to bring back Sam.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny. That was wonderful. What wonderful music from Jenny. Amazing. What a great show we've been having today.
We're so lucky.
And thanks for your segment, Cerian. Women in music, such an important thing to concentrate on, really. There's not enough women, and it's not balanced enough, in my opinion. So thank you for the work you do.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, I'm going to go on to our next host this evening for our main conversation of the evening. It's Andrew Maxwell Morris. Are you there, Andrew?
Hello, good evening. How are you, Sam?
Very good, sir. Very good. Good to see you.
And you too. The show's been amazing, hasn't it?
Hasn't it? Yeah.
I'm just blown away by all the artists.
Well, it's just a shame that you're not playing on this one, Andrew.
Oh, but I've luckily been able to chat with a brilliant and a campaigning musician who has done a lot for musicians, and I'm hoping to be able to cover some really important ground with him, particularly about music streaming. So this is an important discussion, I think, coming.
Yeah, over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, so I introduced Tom Gray to the live stream. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Thanks very much for coming and speaking with us on Earth Online. This is an interesting online streaming session. As you can probably hear, it's music, it's discussion, it's topical, and it's quite unique, really, in some ways. But I'm really happy that you've taken the time to speak to us about what I could think is a really important issue at the moment for musicians.
Pleasure.
And you're a musician. You've been in the music industry for about 30 years, I think.
That's right. Yeah, since I was sort of in my early teens. Signed my first record contract when I was 19 or 20. Yeah. So yeah, I've been doing it for a while.
And you were in a really well-known band called Gomez. And I remember when I was at uni listening to them and getting it. And I think you've talked about this before, because I actually heard you speaking on Tom Robertson's BBC Six show about how Gomez was doing something different at the time. The music was different, wasn't it, to what was going on? And it's about late 90s, wasn't it? 1997?
That's right, yeah. We won the Mercury in 98, as I recall. I can just about remember. Yeah, I've always been it was interesting listening to Jenny just then. I'm a great believer in breaking with genres and toying with music and allowing your creativity to run free and to not feel like you have to seek any particular audience with your music. I feel like we ought to be able to find an audience if our music is good enough. And yeah, I have lots of problems with formatting as it's known in the industry. You know, genre, really. I kind of feel like a lot of people would have a lot more fun if they didn't feel that they had to monetize their music by being genre-based.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I mean, one of the first questions that you usually hear musicians asked is what's your genre, like what's your sound, what are you trying to, and the assumption is that you're trying to emulate someone else, and that's or sounding like someone else, which is just, it's not a good way to start, I suppose, is it?
Well, you know, the problem with all marketing is that it requires a given audience and it is always reverse engineered. So there's a set audience, therefore you need to go to that audience. Therefore, the easiest way to get to them is by giving them the thing that they already like.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
And that's the bit that I really struggle with, because
I felt like the world was a bit freer when there was less marketing in it. It felt a little bit more like you could get lucky and things could grow from grassroots into being global things. Whereas I feel now it's harder for young musicians to do it in that way because it's so orientated by, advertising and marketing spend on the kinds of platforms that I spend a lot of my time talking about.
Well, when you were in Gomez and you were releasing albums, you were releasing CDs and vinyl, I take it, and that was a time when I guess you kind of knew where the money was coming from in some respects because it's a physical product, and someone would say you've sold 2,000 physical products and you get X, you get an amount of that, and I guess now what is it about streaming that has made you feel so passionate about wanting to try to change this?
Look, the music business has always been highly unethical, right? It's always been exploitative. The stories of the exploitation of musicians go back to the 30s, 40s, 50s. There's a history of gangsterism in music. There's the Drifters did a record contract in 1958 for 2%. Right, and we've all heard the stories about the Beatles losing their rights and the rest of it, right? I mean, it's as old as the hills, but the problem is that you put the streaming model on top of a system that never really sorted its face out, and it becomes much more profound because the way that record deals work is you sort of sign your rights over to this entity, and they pay you you have to basically pay them back from your very small percentage, which is very hard and was more possible in the physical era because you were making a lot of money up front, and that would hopefully pay off the debt, which would mean that you could start making some money off the back. But in streaming, you're making money very slowly with tiny micro payments. So it's 0.004 of a pound per stream.
Yeah.
And if you're in a label deal, then probably certainly a major label deal, then 80% of that is going to the label, and so a fifth of 0.004, which is 0.0008, I think, is what you're paying off your debt with, right?
So you never do.
So you never do.
Okay, so they've got you forever. Yeah. Oh, so you never actually get any money because you're constantly paying the debt off. Oh,
that's exactly it. And if you look at streaming, everyone goes, well, streaming, no one, all of these young musicians who think they're doing okay at streaming are making a little bit of money out of it, and I think it's a wonderful thing. But you look at streaming and people say, Spotify is not profitable. But the three major labels, the three major rights holders in the world, Sony, Universal, and Warner, made $8 billion from streaming last year.
So
Right?
there's something wrong, isn't there? Yeah.
Well, are you hearing? You find me a musician friend of yours who's happy about the situation right now, right? We had an entire industry that was dead at the beginning of the century because of piracy, that has come back from streaming, but has built itself off the back of live music. Right. Yeah. They've continued the sort of bad business practices of the last century because they know that we're going to be funding ourselves by playing gigs.
Right.
And that just got exploded because gigs just stopped, right? Gigs, they didn't just stop, they stopped a year ago, right? Yeah. Which is when I started the Broken Record campaign.
Can I just ask you, what do you think of this? How did we get to a stage? How did the music industry get to a stage where everyone was happy to see Spotify actually happen? Why were musicians thinking this is a great thing? I guess, was it because they thought they could get to a worldwide audience, and they weren't thinking about the money, or that they were promised something which they never got?
A bit of both, right? So the money completely dropped out of the industry between 2001 and 2012, around then, right? Then basically, the industry had slowly sort of withered and on the vine, and it had become very, very hard to make money from music because of the pirate bays and the lime wires, and we all indulged, I'm sure, and that's where we got to. And so along comes this thing. In fact, Spotify was sort of a legitimization of the pirate base, because it was some of the people who were involved in the creation of Spotify were actually people who were involved in Napster. So it's almost like one thread, if you will.
So it's like we can get rid of these illegal people by giving you something which is legitimate, but then you're going to probably tell me about what they were promised.
Well, the major labels basically took control of Spotify, had lots and lots of shares in it from the very beginning, and basically handed out, decided what model they wanted to do with Spotify, which is something called the revenue share model, which I can explain to you later, which is a bit complicated. But basically they went, we're going to give you our catalogs and you're going to give us loads of money up front, basically. That's how it worked and how it started. And it was a punt, but it worked. And I'm glad that it worked, right? I mean, I love streaming. Let me be clear. I mean, I have absolutely no issue with streaming. I love having all the music in the world in my pocket. For someone who has spent his entire life, who spent all of his teens as a crate digger looking for rare music, the idea that I can just find it in a split second is just still blows me away, right?
It is a miracle, isn't it? It is a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Yeah. And so it kind of drew musicians in by thinking, well, this is the new thing and we're going to legitimize it. And there will be some money for you, but it's kind of got out of control. And that's probably why, you can tell me why, but obviously you were a musician in the good days, I will call them, because you obviously were in a great band who were selling a lot of records. So has that influenced why you wanted to take this on? Or is there another reason, or is there no particular reason and you just feel like you should do it?
There's a lot to it, really. I have a history in politics. Grew up as a political activist, was a Labour Party member since the age of 15, studied politics at university, was going to do that with my life, was ready to get on a plane to go and work for a senator in the United States. That was the sliding door when I signed a record contract, and didn't do that with my life. And then spent 15 years as a touring musician. And as you say, had a lot of success, sold millions of records and did all of that. And then I stopped touring when I had my son, and kind of went, okay, and got into composing for TV and film and stuff, which has been great. But I kind of, a few years ago, I had one of those sort of, not quite a Damascene moment, but a little bit like that, where I kind of went, there can't be many people like me who are musicians but are also affair with how to form public policy and how Parliament works and how the legal processes around that work. And so if I don't do something to sort this out,
no one's going to.
Who's going to do something? So a few years ago I started. I am a director of PRS for Music, the organisation that pays songwriters and composers.
Yeah, I'm
a director of the Ivors Academy for Songwriters and Composers, who represent songwriters and composers' rights. I work with the MU, who I'm a member, and I'm a writer-artist advocate for the Featured Artists Coalition, who represent featured artists. So I was doing a lot of advocacy work before.
I see.
Before this moment came when I wrote a tweet thread a year ago,
right,
and just went, because I kind of, my problem is that obviously I'm an advocate anyway. I was looking at the whole situation. I was going, well, live music's gone away. No one's, and it's not going to come back quickly.
No.
And it's still not going to come back quickly. This is the horror show
That's true. That's true.
We still haven't got insurance in place. And even when it does come back, everyone's going to be competing to play in the same rooms, which means there's going to be form an orderly queue, everyone. And the biggest artists are going to get those rooms first, right? If you can sell the most tickets, you're going to get those spaces. So there's going to be a huge lag of income for performing artists. And people need to know that now, because that's the bit everyone forgets. Right.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And then, of course, I work for PRS, so I'm right across like licensing money, which is money that's paid by like hairdressers and bars and restaurants to play music, right? So you have to have a PPL, PRS license to play music, and that money is money that comes to performers and to songwriters in dribs and drabs, and is a little bit of extra money. If there's a load of musicians in the pub, usually it's because there's been a PRS check, right? That's right. It's just a fact. But the problem is there's a time lag on that as well. So this year we're about to feel the big pain of those PPL and PRS checks disappearing as well.
I see. Okay.
So I could see all of this in front of me and was like, oh God. And all we've got left is streaming, and streaming does not an income make. You know, it does not pay the rent. And this is what people don't understand, you know. Even if you have, you know, I'm not going to pretend that I think that every single musician in the world ought to be able to make rent from being, you know, playing music, right? I mean, I wish they would. I mean, but I'd be making an argument for universal basic income if I wasn't. And I'm quite happy to make the argument for universal basic income, let's be clear. But I think it might be slightly easier to change the music industry than the basic economics of our society. So yeah, right. So my problem is that recorded music doesn't allow for a broad, secure, professional class of musician, right?
Okay. And you mean a musicians who rely solely on their income from music to live?
Yeah.
What you mean? Yeah.
It does not allow for that.
Okay, I completely agree with you.
And we just need more winners in this system. We haven't got enough winners.
Okay.
At the moment, the graph is like a flat line that leaps up at the very end. There are a few people, right? It would be totally, disingenuous of me to say that there aren't some people who can make streaming work for them. But they tend to be people who write like sort of library writers. They just write thousands of songs and sort of landfill the playlisting system. It's kind of like it's Muzak, really.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's fine. And I actually have huge respect for people who can do that and get up in the morning and just write music all day, like going, okay. There's some guy I was speaking to, a friend of a friend who has 11,000 songs on Spotify. He has 11,000, and he was making 60 grand a year. And I was like, mate, that is amazing.
Wow.
You have totally gamed the system.
Yeah.
But that's it. The only way to do it is to game the system. And that upsets me, because what I want is artistry. I want people who can take time to develop their work and to think about what they want to do.
Absolutely.
And make great works of art. And those great works of art, which when they're enjoyed by hundreds of thousands of people, that provides them with rent. That's all. Just rent would be the baseline, right? That's the bit that is terrifying, because right now, this is people, I was working it out the other day based on my old contract with Gomez. For every one of us to earn the national median wage, which is about 29,000 quid. I mean, that's a pretty decent. I mean, that's a lot more than most musicians. Let's be clear. Most musicians in the UK earn below £20,000. Right. So it's a low paid sector.
Yeah.
And that's been a big part of my campaign, is explaining this to people, because people think that music is glamorous, right? And it's great hearing, someone like Jenny who works in the NHS, that's the most common story in music now, right?
Absolutely.
So so for all five of us to earn 29 grand a year, which is like, I don't know, teacher's pay, right? We'd have to get 190 million streams a year, which is the same as Elvis Presley.
Yeah, it's just
right. So that's that's the economics of streaming in a nutshell. So we just got to do something about it. We've got to get some of that 8 billion that's going into the pockets of these three companies, these three multinationals, and we've got to kick it out into the pockets of our musical community. Not in the simple interests of balancing, it's basic social justice, it's ethical, it makes the whole system more sustainable, because we want to have more musicians and we want this to happen. The great lie that people tell these days, of course, is that, there's too many musicians, there's too many artists on there, that's why no one's getting any paid, because it's all getting divided up and divided up and divided up. But that's actually not true. If you think about it, each subscriber to Spotify or Apple or Amazon or Deezer or whichever one you're using, you've only got so much time in your day. You can only listen to a limited amount of music. you can't listen to all 4 million artists that have work on Spotify. So your £10 can only get divided up by the time that you can spend listening to music. So it's, you know, never buy that stuff. If you want to make music, make music. You know, if it finds an audience, then brilliant. You know, the real shame in this is that artists who have got an audience, you know, oftentimes many hundreds of thousands of people who regularly listen to their music they're making a few £100 every year.
What I find that really grates with me when I hear about your campaign is that it seems to be that the major record labels who have an financial interest in Spotify, have a controlling manner in which they put their own artists before other artists who could be just as good as them. And that basically means that they take center stage in Spotify and get even more traction than they already have. And people who are probably pretty good, we're talking about people breaking or brilliant artists, don't. And that for me is one of the worst parts of this. Is that true? Have I got that right?
Yeah, well, you absolutely have it right, because there is no level playing field. The point being that, you know, if you're Spotify, right, and so Universal own nearly a third of all the music that we listen to in the world. They own a third of the global market, right? That's incredible. I mean, you would have thought the monopolies and markets authority would have had a look at that, but they didn't. It's okay. So a third of the world market. If I need to have a viable business as a streaming service, I'm going to have Universal's catalog, right? Otherwise, it just doesn't function, because I'm going to lose 1 in 3 songs that everybody knows, right? And I'm talking 1 in 3 every classical pieces, 1 in 3 blues songs, jazz songs. I mean, Universal own everything, right? So I need them. So I do a deal with them for their catalog. I do a licensing deal with them for their catalog. And as part of that licensing deal, I'll do marketing terms, which is perfectly normal in any kind of business deal, right? So I'll give them better marketing terms so that they can put their music at what is the equivalent of the shop front, right? So the Coca-Cola is sitting on the first shelf when you walk through the door.
Yeah.
But that's how it works. I mean, it's sort of how it worked in the record shop, but in the record shop, it was easy to walk past the giant cardboard, steps, whoever it was. But it's less so in Spotify, because it's a lot of it's algorithmic, and of course,
absolutely,
what's
very
happening
clever.
is
very clever stuff, isn't it?
You stop choosing, and it starts choosing for you, and it's going to make some interesting choices.
I find that when I first found out about your campaign, I mean, I have a sort of side of me that has the sort of, this feels unfair, right? I'm not in a position that you're in, Tom, because obviously you have, you're a veteran of the industry, and you have, a following, and you know so much more from the inside, and that's what's so great to hear you talk. But you've actually appeared in front of the parliamentary committee, and you've also got others involved. And what is it that you're asking to happen in Broken Record campaign? What are you asking the government to do?
Well, I mean, first of all, the Broken Record campaign was enforcing the whole, parliamentary inquiry. So that was okay, I'm pretty happy about that. That's so we got that, and then
you made that happen.
Yeah.
Oh wow, amazing. Yeah.
And then I was the first witness in it, right. And
just like your own committee.
Like my own committee. I always insist on top billing, and no, I don't. So we did that, and what I was asking for is, look, there's lots of things that I would like in streaming. There's something I would like called user-centric, right? Which is where instead of all of our money going off into a big pool and being shared out by total streams, at the moment, your subscription doesn't go to what you listen to.
Right.
Basically, there's because it's total revenue divided by total streams. This is a little complicated to figure out for yourself. Total revenue divided by total streams each month gives us a per stream rate. Now, say for instance, it's 0.005 is the per stream rate from that. Now that's half a penny, say. Now, if you work it out, if you're a an average listener who's listening to maybe 500 or 700 tracks a month. Just multiply that by half a penny, right? So 500 times by half a penny is 250 pennies, which is £2.50. So of your £10 a month, £2.50 is going to the music that you listen to. And you may say, but where's the rest of my money going? Where's it going? Well, where it's going is to people who listen to Spotify all day long, right? Hyper listeners, right?
Right.
Which might be somebody, it might be a shop. They never tell us that, but it might be someone in a hairdresser's who's running their, private Spotify account all day long. It might be a bot. There is illegal streaming, like to try and hedge the system. And then there are just people who are crazy but it's possible if you listen to 18 hours of music every day, right? It's possible to extract £43 of streaming from a £10 account, right? So what's happening is most of your money is going to music that you don't like and don't listen to, right? So I prefer a system called user-centric, where all that happens is your subscription is divided up amongst what you listen to. But I know I can't get that from the government because that is down to the individual contract between the licensor and the licensee, i.e. like Apple Music and Warner, right? So it's their relationship where user-centric has to go into that contract. And no government is going to interfere with private contracts. No, right?
Sure.
So I can't get that.
No,
Even as much as I'm lobbying the industry for it, I'm not lobbying government for it.
No, okay.
And in fact, what I'm trying to do, the way this whole thing is built out, is to kind of use the possibility of regulation from government as a way of putting pressure on the industry to change itself.
Okay.
Right? Because I can't personally ask them and they just go, oh, go away, right? Whereas the threat of being regulated terrifies them, right? Understandably.
Of course it does, yeah.
So that's really what my campaign is,
okay.
right? That's what my campaign is.
Did I understand it rightly that there's an idea of a potential, like a living wage type idea?
It's not a living wage, but basically there's a right already in broadcast called equitable remuneration. Right. And in equitable remuneration, when music is played on the radio or when it's licensed in a pub or whatever, the money gets split half to the performers and half to the rights holders. Now, if an artist is completely independent, they're already the rights holder as well. So it makes no difference to them. They'll get all the money anyway, right? But if you're on a label or in a label deal, or if you're a session musician, at the moment, it's very unlikely that very much money is getting to you at all, right? But under equitable remuneration, half the money would go to the artists and the performers, right?
That sounds...
For the first time, session musicians would get money from streaming.
Okay.
And something
the money's there, isn't it? It just has to get to the right people. That's your point, isn't it? Yeah.
It just has to get to the right people. There are lots of other things that we can do to make the system more progressive. And I would like to do all of those things. But as I say, they're probably fights with the industry, not fights with the government. The government can change copyright law and competition law. And it's copyright law that produces equitable remuneration. Equitable remuneration exists in a right called communications to the people, which is broadcasting. And it exists in rental, but it doesn't exist in sales. The major labels pretend that streaming is sales when a child can see that it's not a sale. You pay money every month. That's like rental.
It chooses
access,
giving you access, isn't it?
If you stop paying, you lose the music. It plays music to you that you don't choose. That's like radio. So why doesn't it pay equitable remuneration? So that's what I've asked government to do.
Tom, I'm just going to. I would love to talk for absolutely hours about this, but what I wanted to do is just bring in a couple of the artists that have played this evening.
Yeah.
If we can just maybe have a bit of a discussion about how this can affect them in what they're doing. So if we can just bring on Jenny and Jack. And Cerian, in fact. So three other musicians.
I'm here too, sorry.
So obviously, guys, you've heard this. I mean, it's not supposed to be this is the end of the world depressing. It's just so brilliant that there's a way we can think about it changing, right? So Jenny, how is all the streaming affecting the way that you release music? Or are you just sticking to physical stuff, or how does this make you feel about it all?
Yeah, so like I tend to do, like, if I do like an EP or an album, I'll kind of pay for CDs, and then it's kind of just selling them on. And that kind of does make a little bit of money, but then streaming, I make almost nothing from streaming. It depends on, I think, a lot about who your audience is as well. It's not, there's a lot of kind of older people who don't necessarily like Spotify and streaming platforms like that. So it's very kind of, it depends on the way you approach it. And yeah, but like Tom says, it's very, very minimal what you would make from streaming anyway, even if you were to stream all day.
And do you have other musician friends that all have other jobs as well now? Is that becoming much more common? Is that a theme that's...
Yeah, certainly. Most of my musician friends have got at least a part-time job, if not full-time. And they kind of just do it on the side. And yeah, it's incredibly hard work coming home from work, and then it's, kind of sometimes it's half an hour and then I'm on stream, because you've got to be consistent, and that's the thing. You can't, to grow an audience, you have to have that consistency. And if you say, oh well, I'll do it when I'm feeling it, it's just not going to work out in your favor. So it's that it's very, very difficult. It's hard work, but I think it gets easier as you go and you start growing that following. But it's getting going that's the difficult part.
I mean, a lot of the albums that I love from like back in the 70s and 80s, when you see the bands and the time they had in the studio and the kind of support they were given to just create their art in the best they could. And there's a reason why some of that stuff is still the most brilliant music that's still around. It's because they were given the time to just make great art. I think, Tom, that's what you were saying too, is that it needs to be invested. Musicians need investing in.
Oh, and there's also the danger that we lose the incredible technical know-how of the people who run and work those studios. I mean, we're all okay. Like, I mean, obviously, I grew up as a self-recordist and won a Mercury Prize recording an album on a 4-track in a garage. So I'm probably not the best person to talk to. But the incredible technical know-how of studio engineers, we will eventually lose that. Because there's no money there it becomes a sort of loss leader in a lot of ways. It's an extraordinary thing. Like the most streamed artist in the world, Drake, right? The most streamed artist on the globe makes less than a third of his income from streaming.
Wow. See, I mean, there's so many different stats you could I'm sure you just started with the stats. But...
Yeah, no. I was going to say there's a brilliant American National Endowment for the Arts analysis of people who work in the arts, and musicians are the most likely people to have a second job, more than actors, more than photographers, more than anyone.
So do you think when you hear that like Drake only earns like less than a third of his income from streaming, you think what hope is there for an independent musician then?
Well, exactly. I mean, this is the problem is now that we get into a world where it's sort of like what we're all doing, and it's totally right, is that we all have these different income streams and different parts of our career that we build out to become different useful ways of making money so that we can survive. And that's the way that it really is. And that's totally true. But the problem is what is doing well? What does success look like now? Absolutely. What is success survival? Is success being able to pay for a meal every day? Is success, I mean, what is success? And that's the bit that upsets me, and where I kind of have to go, right, well, what I want is for young artists to be able to aspire to at least subsistence level of success. That's the part that, I want people as talented as Jenny to be able to give up the NHS gig. That's what I want, right?
Absolutely.
This is a thing that I struggle with a lot is like thinking, well, I watch all my friends do the normal route and I can't do the things they're doing. I can't get a house. I can't afford the rent. Well, am I just being self-indulgent then in wanting to pursue a creative career? Is it my fault for wanting to do that? You know, or should it be that we are I can't say the word. We are paying artists properly. You know, for creativity has such a big place in my life. I enjoy the art of other people so much. Like, isn't that what we should be aspiring to as a society? To value every contribution towards our existence.
And the other problem that we have in this country, unlike a lot of European countries and unlike Canada, and is that what we have is we don't have big state funding for popular music.
Yeah.
For some reason, popular music is treated like this thing that can just take care of itself. I mean, opera doesn't, and the arts don't, and the theatre doesn't, and film certainly doesn't, and yet we are like left just like, oh, go on, get on with it. We'll give you a couple of grand if you're lucky. But not, you know, there's none of that major government backing. I mean, if they gave half of what they give to opera to popular music, it would have an enormous effect on the ability of British musicians to do what they want.
I think for me, like, just a lot of people love music, but the people that love music and listen to music all the time, like I love listening to music, and I know loads of people that love it, but they don't quite realize most of the time what effect it's having on the people who are making it. They just think, my God, I can listen to all this music and I love it. It makes me feel great. It makes me happy. But they don't actually realize that behind that, there is hours and hours and hours and years and years and years of practice, you know, of songwriting and recording and collaborating. It's as you say, like trying to raise the profile of it and trying to raise it.
You know, and the other thing,
it's valuable.
Yeah, the other thing that I worry about is that, you know, I came from a sort of lower middle class house, but a lot of the kids I meet now who are getting into music are wealthy, and I really worry that like that becomes the thing, that music becomes like a nice hobby for the children of the wealthy.
I think it already is. How can you pursue a career in the arts when you have to spend so much time not being paid? If you're not fortunate enough to have a family who can support you in some way, then it can only be a pursuit of the wealthy, of the privileged.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I mean, I that's the reason that I get the fear about that. It just that really kills me, because I got lucky. You know, I was a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid who became world famous overnight, and that's what allowed me to do it. There was no money behind me. I mean, at that point I had a 120 quid secondhand guitar.
I mean, yeah, you were in a kind of a cutting edge band, Tom, that made something really new and unique at the time, and that, so you were at that time doing the right thing, and that's how it can happen, right? It can happen like that.
Well, you would hope, but now I worry that only way it can happen is through like major marketing spend.
Okay.
And you know, there are artists like I mean, I've got friends who do okay out of streaming, really great folk artists and stuff, who are on great 50-50 distribution deals with their artists, who certainly make a really good additive income from their streaming. But it's not, without touring it, it's not, you know, it doesn't pay. You can't pay the mortgage with it.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask Jack now, because he's probably been listening to this thinking, oh my God, why have I started writing songs? Why do I want to do music at all? This is rubbish. No.
Sorry, Jack. Sorry.
No, Jack, tell what do you think about this?
Well, this whole discussion by itself is fascinating to me. So, like I said, you know, for me, I've just been dipping my feet into the whole world of music within the past not even full year. So, you know, obviously I haven't gotten to the point where, you know, I'm making music that's, you know, getting produced and distributed, but just from a standpoint of breaking into me, you know, everything that Tom's talked about, you know, I've been reading up here while I've been sitting backstage about his campaign, because I didn't really, you know, take in and fully comprehend what the industry is doing to artists like yourselves, and you know, it's a bit intimidating, you know, for me just to be sitting here and saying, hey, you know, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you know, if this is something that is something that I can continue to do, you know, what does the actual future look like for someone like me? And, you know, I'm not someone that has an extensive even background in music. You know, I've been asking Cerian a lot of questions over these past couple months because I'm so oblivious to how everything works. You know, I hear you guys talking about, you know, getting music distributed, but I don't know how to even go about that in the first place. So for me, this is all just fascinating to really take in and see how everything is currently, you know, the current situation for musicians, because it sure doesn't sound like it's a proper or ideal way for things to be happening right now.
I don't want you to think, Jack, that the ability to release music of your own, self-produce it and put it on Spotify and have someone in Australia or England listen to it is not a brilliant thing. It is a brilliant thing.
That's
all I want to say on that.
No, I think it's a wonderful thing. You know, the problem is a lot of the time, Jack, is that when we're young and idealistic and just getting involved in this industry, and we should be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and excited about it and in love with our art form, we'll take what's given to us and what's available to us, you know. And for me, like when I was 19, all I wanted was to release a gatefold LP. That was it. That was the totality of my ambition, was to release a double vinyl gatefold LP. And if that happened, I was going to be happy, right? But I signed a record contract, which was great, was fun, and, you know, obviously had a lot of success off the back of it. But my music was signed away for 70 years. I'll never get it back for the rest of my life. And, you know, it works for a company who don't report to me, don't tell me how it's going, and it's gone, right? So this is the point is, right now, Jack, you're in the great place because you're educating yourself now before you get involved, right? So this is it. That you've got an opportunity now to become an expert before you get into the fight, right? And you know, there's a world of opportunity. Don't let me come off as too cynical and dark about this, because there really is a world of opportunity, and there's lots of ways that you can break through just with one song. I mean, one song can still change anybody's life, but obviously it's roulette if it's one song, you know. So, and a career, which is what most of us want, an audience, a following that you've created and you've built out, that monetizing that is the hardest thing for the contemporary artist. That's the trickiest bit. Is I've got all these people. You know, like if they follow you on Facebook, right? If all these people follow you on Facebook, you have to pay Facebook to talk to them, right? That's the world we are in, right? That's the world we're in. It's crazy.
Hey guys, no, it's all right, Tom. Guys, I've got to wrap this up because the show isn't finished yet. We've got other.
Oh, sorry, yeah, no, I'd talk all day. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I could listen all day.
It's my fault as well. This could be a show in itself. And guys, thanks for participating in it. Jack, lovely music. Jenny, lovely music as well. Cerian, thank you for participating, and Tom, thanks for giving your time to educate us and to spread that really important message. And good luck with your campaign, and I think you are going to make a change. Actually, I do.
I want to encourage everyone to follow Tom on Twitter.
Yeah, Tom on Twitter.
Follow that Broken Record campaign because it's really fascinating and really important.
Yeah, so I think we had the Twitter handle up before, but I think it's at Mr. Tom Gray, isn't it?
Yeah. At Mr. Tom Gray with an A. Yeah, that's it.
And you tweet a lot, and it's all very interesting. And you there's I'm not gonna I was gonna say there's a certain part of the industry you definitely do not like, but I'm not gonna. The BPI, is it?
The BPI. Really don't like they really don't like me either.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it's a nice scrap if you want to get. Basically, there's an organisation who represent the major labels in the UK called the British Phonographic Industry, and we don't get on. It's a
in a nice sort of way, in a kind of online way that we right.
In a nice. It'll probably end in court kind of way. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks everybody. That's the end of my part of the show, which is to talk to interesting people. On the next occasion on Earth Online, I'll be talking to another interesting person. I'm not sure who it's going to be yet, but it'll be in the rough area of the arts, music, and someone as interesting and hopefully as Tom. So that's the end of my segment. Am I speaking to Sam now, or are we going straight to? Oh, there's Sam. Bye, everyone else. So
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye, everyone.
Over to you, Sam. What an interesting discussion that was.
Fantastic,
I'm
fantastic.
sorry it went on a little bit too long, but I couldn't stop myself.
No, that's fine. Actually. And well done. What a great host you were for presenting that. That's brilliant. And good luck to Tom with the Broken Record campaign. I just wanted to say that also that if you did miss that discussion, it won't go away. We still have it available on our YouTube page, Green Futures Festivals YouTube, and also on our Facebook group page. So you can see this, or you can pass the information on and get other people to watch it as well. So yeah, absolutely. And I do really think that Tom is going to change something. He's that kind of campaigner, that kind of person. So hopefully he will. But over to you, Sam. Andrew. All right then. Well, thanks everyone. It has been a fascinating show, and it's not over yet, as Andrew said. And we've got our next guest, who actually coined the title of the show, Tales from the Universe Next Door. His name is Mark Duffield. He's from a band called El Tel, rather unusual band, and he's going to do some poetry for us. So, are you there, Mark?
I am.
Fantastic. You haven't been gigging with your band recently, have you?
No, sadly not. No. It's been an awful time, really, to be a musician, I think, in a lot of ways, but also great time to get in the studio and layer up those vocals, find something new, make a video. Are you recording stuff now? Yeah, every day. Collaborating with people all over the world, in fact, Good. And you're a poet, so we're going to hear some of your poetry. So over to you. Excellent. Hello and welcome, brothers and sisters. My name is Mark, and I am an ambassador for the universe next door, the one just to the left of this one, and I am here today to interpret and express some of the tales told to me. A little bit about the universe next door. Everyone ever born in this universe also exists or has existed there. Almost always, though, their lives are markedly different. A good example would be Shirley Bassey and Bob Dylan. Whilst both still famous musicians, in the universe next door, they have so far had each other's career. Shirley is a hugely influential folk singer, and Bob, a diva with a voice to die for. Other differences: there are no cats and dogs. They all perished in the cat and dog flu of 1923. There are creatures living there that we would consider mythical, who there are just ordinary citizens. A good example being the telepathic dwarves of the Cook Islands, who were discovered by the most famous and reviled hero come fiend of this universal plane, namely the explorer, born Snigger Joe. So, without further ado, let me tell my first tale, that of our flawed hero, the explorer. Protected from the cold by his trousers made of fox, carrying 700 weight of something horrid in a box, with mittens made from kittens just to keep his fingers warm, and a photograph of God to keep him from harm. He wasn't looking for trouble. He was well equipped with his psychosis and a heavy stick. He said goodbye to his family. He had no friends. Picked up his foul burden and he clambered over the fence. He headed off, he knew not where, nor how far he would go. He worried about his state of mind. He wondered if it showed. His hedgehog skin loincloth was fastened far too tight. Rubbed his crotch, checked his watch, disappeared into the night. He looked for one night's lodgings, but no one would take him in, for he looked a vile psychopath with his head full of sin. He spent the night in a ditch and kept the company of birds, ate 2 of them for breakfast, pocketed a 3rd, crapped into a puddle, wiped his ring upon a leaf, and then he headed off down to the road again, glad of some relief. He searched the 5 continents, he scoured the 7 seas, till he believed that he had seen all that there was to see. And then one day he spied a cave, and he had a look around. A colony of mythical dwarves was living underground. He set up his camera, and he let off several shots, and then he felt the need to send his breed rushing through the rot. He gave oranges to the cutest 3 and set off with them for home. When he heard about the cats and dogs from his mama on the phone, he told his ma, dig a hole, there's something in his sack. A mythical dwarf to serve her tea and on bath nights scrub her back. He got home, put down his sack, his box and heavy stick, opened up the sack and found not 3 dwarves there, but 6. It never really dawned on him the consequence of his mission. The dwarves he spied had multiplied by means of binary fission. And then one night he got drunk and he gave his secret away. And that is why instead of cats and dogs, we all keep dwarves today. The explorer, he set off again in search of something new. For when you've run in the face of a mythical race, well, there's nothing left to do. In the universe next door, right and wrong is an alien concept, and all beings live as a crocodile lives, and unbridled spite reigns supreme. Hats off to Bobby Jilks, an underdog, part of the forgotten, a man who lived beyond his time, a man who hopes for his day to come. Bobby Jilks is a man, a very good friend of Snigger Joe. He hasn't got the balls to go where Joe goes. He goes to work every night and he sits at the back of a bus. His face is nothing more than an enormous bag of pus. Oh, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby Jilks, put on your bobble hat, drink your milk. Don't you listen to what they say. It's gonna be your day, one day. Bobby Jilks. Here's a man, a very good friend of Mr. C. There's nothing in this whole wide world in which they disagree. He eats a lot of rotten fruit, other things that ain't too fresh, collects autographs, squeezes boils, and sates himself on rotting flesh. Oh, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby Jilks, put on your bobble hat, drink your milk. Don't you listen to what they say. It's going to be your day, one day. Bobby Jilks. Here's a house, the kind of house where you wipe your feet on the way out, pictures of excretia on the wall, and a statue of his mad mother's mouth. He's been biding his time, waiting for his day to finally come. But today is the day, Bobby Jilks, that you die alone, unsung, unloved. Oh, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby Jilks, we've taken your bobber hat, we've drunk your milk. You listen to what they say. It's never going to be your day. Never. Well, good friends, that concludes this edition of Tales from the Universe Next Door. Both poems were written by the universal legend, Brian Dockwound. Thank you and good night. I've been Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Loved it. Great. And poor old Bobby Jilks, eh?
Exactly.
Never mind. All right. So thanks again, Mark. Good luck to you. And let's hope to see you gigging, because your music is equally as bizarre and wonderful. So thanks again. Brilliant.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to just bring in now the hosts of the show. We're going to have a quick little chat and just see how it's gone. You know, just a little quick debrief. Is everyone there?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, live and kicking.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. So we've survived again, another edition of Earth Online. Yes. And hopefully we'll be having another one possibly next month, possibly the month after.
Yeah, watch the space.
Watch indeed.
It's now a slick operation. It's a slick operation.
It's getting much slicker.
Yeah.
Cool.
I thought the music was just brilliant this evening. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah,
very high standard of music, and I love the discussion as well. Brilliant,
Yeah,
really
so
fascinating.
fascinating.
Tom,
Couldn't it
great to
go
get-
on forever, couldn't it?
Yeah, I could have talked about it all night, or heard Tom talk about it
Yeah,
all
he's
night.
so passionate, isn't he? About
Yes.
the subject, and knowledgeable.
So knowledgeable,
Yeah.
because I feel passionately about it, but don't feel like I have the knowledge and the statistics to back up the feelings, you know. And so hearing him speak, it's like, oh, that's what it is. That's the intricacies. That's what's going on.
He's so unique because he's had a major record label deal, you know, and he knows how it works, and he's also believes in it, and he's also knows his stuff, and is a musician. It's got all the combination there.
Yeah.
So it's just fascinating, and great to have like Jack and Jenny as well chatting about it.
It was great to have him, and we're very lucky indeed to have him. So, and all the other musicians as well. So,
And our other host is here as well. We should bring back Sazrah as well.
Where is Sazrah?
She here? Is she all right to come back?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Sazrah.
Hi, Sazrah, and we're looking forward to your section next time. So
Yes.
that should be really interesting. It has been a good couple of hours. We have gone over, which maybe is not a bad thing. You know, it's certainly been good enough. So let's celebrate that fact. In fact, I just want to say there's a virtual tip jar going at the bottom there. That's going to pay for the programs and to keep this series going. So please dip in a little bit if you can, and also do join the Facebook group Green Futures Festivals. Then you'll get you'll be first to know when we have the new editions coming in, etc. So do that. And as I said before, you can hear this program again via the group on Facebook and on our group in YouTube, and anywhere else that you can hear it. Cerian?
Twitter, on the Twitter as well. You can watch the stream on Twitter at GlastoGF.
Right, indeed. So, yeah. So it should be here for eternity. So please enjoy it again. Okay, so we come to the end, and you know, amongst our hosts who are extremely talented, we have the wonderful Cerian, who is not only brilliant in the studio. So thanks for that and all your help in the studio, Cerian. But you make marvelous music. And you do your own streams. Tell us quickly about that, and let's hear one of your songs to finish the show.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I don't have to do one if we're running a bit late.
No, we love your music. My sister's been waiting for you.
Oh, that's very sweet of her. Yeah. Well, I'm similar to Jack and Jenny. I'm an independent singer-songwriter, and streaming on Twitch like them as well, and releasing music myself independently. So I thought I would just finish off by sharing my newest song that I just wrote just over a week ago, called Chasing the Dragon, which is all about chasing a feeling, which is kind of a little apt for what we were discussing about that, like wanting to be a musician and sort of like wondering if it will work, but you know, applicable to whatever situation it is for you.
Okay, so we're going to play out with Cerian, but we're going to say thank you to Pedro, Andrew, and Sazrah.
And thank you to Sam for being the host extraordinaire.
Yes,
thank you. It was nothing. All right then, over to you, Cerian, and bye everyone.
Bye,
see everybody. Bye. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So this is called Chasing the Dragon. Cover my sins in a carpet of snow. Let the skies open so nobody knows that I'm chasing the dragon with you. The fire is burning us too. I wanna go higher with you, but dragons aren't real. Chasing a dream overseas.
seas, but I will be left on my knees. We know that we never can be all that we feel. What if the fire I feel for you melts all the snow and reveals the truth that I'm chasing a dragon with you, but the fire is burning us through. I wanna go higher with you, but dragons aren't real. Chasing a dream overseas, but I will be left on my knees. We know that we never can be all that we feel. Painted so no one sees anything red. Let the snow fall on the words that we said. I'm chasing a dragon with you, but the fire is burning us through. I wanna go higher with you, but dragons aren't real. Chasing a dream overseas, but I will be left on my knees. We know that we never can be all that we feel. Cover my sins in a carpet of snow. Let the skies open so nobody knows.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.